We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Angie Huntley. Welcome to our Team Global Aloha weekly meeting. We're so glad that you carved this time out for yourself and for your business. It's my absolute joy to have the opportunity to host today. And so I'm going to kick it off with just some basic announcements, things that we think that you all should know. So really big news is that Global Convention registration is actually started. It's going on now, October 7th through 9th in Salt Lake City, Utah. You can attend live or virtually. But the live tickets are first come, first serve. So there's 2,500 spaces and people have started to register. You can register on the app. You can Google LifeVantage Global Convention. And I think eventually, Melody can correct me here, but I think you'll be able to go into your official LifeVantage website and register from there. And if you choose registration for Elite Academy and other events, that'll take you to the global registration. But again, space is limited. So it's very, very exciting to have a live event coming up. We have a lot of events. We just had LifeVantage Academy. We have Elite Academy coming up in July. And then Pro 5 Summit, if you are a part of that. And then in October, our global convention. And I want to just take just a moment to highlight events. They're so, so important. And my last in-person event, friends, and this will probably be part of my share today, I was a total mess. Like, I had no business going out of town. If you know anything about me, I have 5 adult sons and 2 of my sons are type 1 diabetic. And my life is like a roller coaster because of that. And I don't know how many of you have experience with type 1 diabetes, but it's a very unpredictable autoimmune disease. And sometimes we have life-threatening trauma that just throws us off, and sleep deprivation. And I showed up in Kansas City, you guys, just a mess. And bless Melody's heart, because she kind of dealt with her fragile distributor that she was helping through. And even in my mess, there was such a great takeaway. And so that's where I want to share with you. Like, I was a mess. I had a breakdown at LifeVantage at Global Convention. And so for some of you who think like, you know what, my life isn't conducive to an event, I guess that's part of my message here today. My life isn't conducive to a lot of this, but the nuggets and the treasure that you find from gathering together and from being empowered. Rachel Pekarik, she gave a presentation on stage live that's like no other Rachel Pekarik presentation that I've ever seen. And it was exactly what I needed in my mess. And I left really, really encouraged and inspired and motivated. And even if you travel that far, for one inspirational moment that keeps you going in this business, in that don't quit mentality, it's worth it. And so I just want to encourage you, if there's a way for you to get to the events, I'm going to encourage my team, encourage your team, and find a way to get there. Another great alternative is if you absolutely can't and you have to attend virtually, if let's say you're 2,501 and you don't make it to the live registration, then contemplate holding an event for your team locally where you are, for you to gather together, because that in-person energy, that eye-to-eye connection is just absolutely priceless, and truly is, I believe, what grew my business to this point. So I can't boast enough about those live events. And there's so many of you that I've seen on the screen. I would love, love, love to see you there. So with that said, also, you can still register for the July Elite Academy, and LifeVantage has extended the personal care line bundle. So there's not going to be another time in our future where we can get, first of all, that price point for the personal care bundle for all of the new personal care products that are true science products, my friends. So for those of you who haven't tried them yet, they're amazing. I was just sharing pre-meeting some of the products. I think, like, if I had to pick my absolute favorite, it's just this little nugget right here. This little soothing balm is so awesome. I love it so much. It lasts forever. I'm dipping into it constantly, and I just dip in and I put it on my lips. But my husband whisked me away to Miami Beach. That's why I have extravagant hotel door in the background. And like, I'm sunburned, and I just, on top of the whole True Science line, I'm like putting it on my forehead and my cheeks and my lips and my chest and my shoulders. And it's absolutely fabulous. So if I had to pick a favorite, it would be this. But my second is the body wash, because the scent is so incredible, which also leads me, my gosh, my announcements are going to take me a whole half hour, you guys. So I want to tell you, I have multiple chemical sensitivity, which means when I'm around someone wearing perfume, cologne, scented body lotion, air fresheners, scented candles, I get very, very sick. I get debilitatingly sick. And it's just so wonderful that we have products, like we have clean products. Like I can bathe myself in True Science, and I can know not only is it not going to make me sick, but it's actually going to work proactively for my skin health and for my overall body health. So I'm so, so grateful for this line. So if you haven't dipped into that, know that the products are available June 1st, but you can still purchase with your Elite Academy ticket the whole personal skincare line. Another, if not one of the most important announcements I feel right now for my team is that you guys, through May 31st, we have a $10 coupon that we can offer to all of our customers that haven't ordered in the last 60 days. And if you haven't gotten in your app to look at promotions, sometimes I'll be honest with you, I'm a very relational person. And so when we have those pre-written messages, I often rewrite them because I like to get personal and I want it to sound like me and I don't want it to sound generic. I love that they put them out there. They're good for some people, but for me, I have to rewrite them. But the messages for this $10 coupon, I don't have to rewrite. They're like, perfect. It's perfect. And to send out to the people that haven't purchased in a while, it's what an amazing reminder, you guys. And imagine being the person on that end of it, on the receiving end, because I've had customers who have said, oh, I've been meaning to reorder, but oh my gosh, $10 off, I'll reorder now. And some people who chose retail instead of subscription, this is the little thing to push them over and offer them $10 off of NRF2. So I am so thrilled that not only that the company offered this, but they made it incredibly, incredibly easy through our app. So I think those are all of the announcements. Melody, is that all the, okay, just give me a double thumbs up. All right. So I'm going to kind of jump into the training because I have a lot to say and I'm going to try to fit it all in the next 22 minutes. So I want to share just a little bit with you. I don't know if you had a chance to read my bio at all, but I have a crazy life and I have a crazy background. When I've interviewed for job positions, sometimes I just have to shrug and say, I know that my resume sounds a bit like Forrest Gump. And I've been, you know, in my young life, I was a professional dancer, and then I entered the world of ministry, and I worked very, very in depth in jails and on the streets and with kids who are very, very, very at risk. And so I have a lot of experience working with people who've been extremely emotionally traumatized and helping them step into a path of freedom and newness and value. And so with that said, I have a lot of experience in personal growth. I was the executive director of a nonprofit where I wrote leadership curriculums and curriculums to bring people out of stagnant places in their life into a place of growth. And then my husband and I decided to open a restaurant because that makes sense in the path that I had been on. And now I am actually working for an enormous global startup, and I am an HR and finance manager, which I love. It's not as emotionally charged as working in depth with people in their most traumatized area of their life. Like I said, I have 5 grown young men who are just amazing and truly the joy of my life. And I think because I have dealt with so many people in trauma and so many people that have had family backgrounds that needed healing, it's a huge priority that I will never compromise to have intimate connection with all of my children and my husband. I never want my kids to look at me and say, why was blank more important than me? Because I've had to be a mediator between parents and children who've had to face that question. And so with my crazy life, and even with managing 2 diabetic sons, which in itself is crazy, I'm overextended and my life is stressful. And like I said, sleep deprived. And when you hear people talk about fitting this business into the nooks and crannies of their life, I want you to know, like, all I have is nooks and crannies. And there's so much that LifeVantage has to offer. And then on top of that, there's so much that the world of network marketing has to offer. There's trainings upon trainings and events and all of these wonderful meetings, and they don't all fit into my nooks and crannies. And so I want you to know that this business works for people who fit it in where they can, because the team of support that we're in this Team Global Aloha is priceless. And the genuineness and the integrity of the people is like something I've never seen before. I've been in mega churches and I've been in franchises, and I've never seen the support that is offered through LifeVantage. The mentorship and the training and the I'm here when you need me type of training. And so what we have really can fit into anyone's life. And I guess it's my way to say, if it can fit in my life, it can fit in anyone's life. And the reason I had to fit it into my life was 6 years ago. I've been involved with the company 6 years now. 6 years ago, one of my youngest sons, because my youngest sons are identical twins, one of my youngest sons was very, very sick, and we didn't have an explanation or a diagnosis. We didn't have anything to help him. We didn't have the type 1 diabetes diagnosis at the time. Now I can see that type 1 diabetes was trying to manifest in his body. And many of you might not know that type 1 diabetes is actually an autoimmune disease. Type 2 is not, but type 1 is. And autoimmune diseases take sometimes a long time to manifest. And so over the course of 10 months, Gabe was very, very ill, and we didn't have an answer. And a dear friend took a risk. And I was weary and I was skeptical, and I didn't want to hear anything else because we had tried everything to help my son Gabe. And she reached out because of her experience and because of her research. And she truly, truly believed that she could help me. And I had nothing to lose. And so she invited me to a meeting. Melody, it was one of Melody's first meetings. And it was one of her first presentations. And I sat there, you guys, and I thought, because I've been an entrepreneur, I used to own a dance studio and we own a restaurant. And I sat there, first of all, thinking, I don't have anything to lose, because Gabe has tried, I mean, literally they put him on trial medications. I had changed his diet. We had done everything. And I thought, Dr. Hyde, Melody's dad, said it was as healthy as eating a salad. It's $50 a month. We're already like backwards in medical debt. What have I got to lose? And then the entrepreneurial side of me said, if this is the real deal, I want to be the one to tell people about this. Like, this is a business opportunity. So it's like, I know it's crazy. It probably makes me sound like a bad mom, but it's like, I want Gabe help. It totally helped and healed. And then I'm like, this is the opportunity of a lifetime, and I can do both. So I ordered by buying a distributor pack. And at that moment, I bought the gold pack. And so before I tried the product, you guys, I became a distributor. And I have to remind myself of that, because sometimes we get in this rut of, they got to try the product and we got to let them, cultivate into our atmosphere. And sometimes there are business-minded people, you guys, and I was raised by entrepreneurs. And I'm telling you, sometimes there are business-minded people who will just say, if that's the real deal, I want in. And that was me. I wanted in. And the emotional mother side of it, I can tell you, I purchased from my friend Chanel. She had some on hand, and I purchased enough for me and Gabe to start NRF2. And Gabe just came back to me. Gabe came back to me in a day.
Gabe had missed all of 5th grade and he just went to school the next day. Like, that is what we have our hands on. I couldn't believe it. And anyhow, there's so many long stories about Gabe and my other sons that I won't have time for. And this is a business training, but the beauty of it is, you guys, that there might be someone like me that you know that I can't get to, and Jennifer can't get to, and Melody can't get to, but you can get to them. And my friend Chanel loved me enough to just bite the bullet and not care if I was frustrated or if I thought she was cuckoo. She just reached out to me and I got my son back, and he got to go to the last 3 weeks of 5th grade. And again, so much more happened after that, but my business, I stepped into it and I started it, but we were opening a restaurant and we had just brought into our family a very, very at-risk young man who had been severely neglected and traumatized. And there was a lot going on. And so my LifeVantage business didn't get my full devotion. And with a series of unfortunate medical events in our family's life, after a couple of years, we were looking at real financial devastation and debt. And my husband is a really successful engineer, but he can't make more money. Like, he's at a great company and he's really making great money, but that's it. Like, he's capped off. And I was working at a restaurant making nothing because we were the owners, and it takes a few years to make any money if you ever make money. And I realized I was making a little money without trying a lot at LifeVantage. And I remember my husband looked at me and said, I can't make more money, Angie. I don't know what to do. And LifeVantage clicked and I said, I think I can. Because if I can make this much money right now without giving a huge effort, let's see what happens when I give all my effort and all my possible effort. And so that was 2 years in, you guys. So I guess my lesson for that is as well, like, if you have someone that's a little bit stagnant that just hasn't quit yet, don't quit on them. Like, Melody never quit on me. She never gave up. Like, she gave me space when I was struggling. We had been through some trauma and she knew it, but she did not give up on me. And that means so much. And even now, as I'll tell you, once I was 2 years in and I decided I got to go for this, like, we got to change our financial situation. You know what I did is I just dove in. Like, I dove into social media and I found all the different pages. There was no Activating You that I knew of. There was no biohack your body and activate your life. There was no level up. I just searched and I found Gabe and Jill Pearson and I found Seth Mulder, and I just was obsessed. And every video I could find, I listened to. And I listened to it when I was driving, and I listened to it in the bathroom, and I listened to it when I was cooking. And so here's what I say to people. If you say you don't have time, I want to say, do you ever drive? Do you ever stand in line? Do you stand in line anywhere? At the DMV, if you're at the drive-thru at McDonald's, which you shouldn't eat that, but let's just say you do, in the drive-thru at McDonald's or wherever you may be. If you're pooping and you're in the bathroom a while, listen to a training. When I'm cooking, I have it going in the background. And you know what, you guys, that's how I learned. I just obsessively listened. My son was playing college baseball at the time, and I'm driving across the country to his games, and I'm listening. I'm listening to Gabe and Jill Pearson. I'm listening to Seth Mulder. I'm listening, at the time it was Rachel Jackson. I'm listening to Dr. Goodman and Dr. Mark Gordon and all of these people years ago that just had teaching after teaching after teaching. And then I listened until I could finish their sentence. That's what I did. And so I just thought, until I can finish what they say, then I don't know it. And you don't have to know it. Let's be real. I know that the concept now is truly better, that, you know what, you don't have to know everything. But at the time in my life when I wanted to start a business, and this is a real business, like I'm only going to do something and give it my all. And so I wanted to learn. And I was willing to, and I have a little bit of an obsessive personality, if you can't tell. So I just got obsessed with listening. And so I made myself learn all the time. Like now, when I shifted from learning LifeVantage products, I had to shift to learn network marketing, because honestly, from my past, I had done a lot of personal growth. I've taught personal growth. I wrote a book on personal growth. I've had published articles on personal growth. So what I needed was to learn network marketing. And so I read the books, I got them on Audible, and I did all of those little times, like I said, driving, in line, pooping, cooking. That's all the time that I would listen to Audible. And the Rob Sperry podcast, you guys, is free. I have yet to pay for a training that has as much meat as the Rob Sperry free podcast. Now he resonates with me, so you got to find what resonates with you. But I want you to know, you guys, if you have someone that says, well, I just can't afford it, lock them in to the Rob Sperry podcast and see what their level of dedication is. So that kind of brings me to one of my first points, is because I've been able to take things from my past and apply them into leadership and into this business. And one of them is you could probably imagine, when I worked with people I used to lead a recovery ministry. And so I worked very in depth with people who are addicted to anything from heroin to alcohol to food. And the reality is, I am going to work my butt off for you, but I will not work more than you match me. So match me and I will run with you. Like if you run, I am running with you and I am running next to you, but I can't do it for you. And I think sometimes we want it so bad for people. And I made that mistake before LifeVantage, but I can see where it could be a trap now. And I see where it's a trap for some of my distributors as well, because you want it so bad for them and you see their potential and you know what they can do. But I'll tell you, like, here's just a little example. I used to do sessions with people, kind of like counseling sessions. We would call them ministry sessions. And they were very, very in depth. And people just had remarkable results. But it would take a lot of my time to invest in sessions with people and walk them through healing and transformation in their life. And so, you know, I want to do that for free. I just want to say, like, I'm just going to give that to you. But if I ever offered it for free, you know what would happen? They would not show up. And I would be sitting there alone after I had to schedule a babysitter and dinner for my kids and rides to baseball and flip my life upside down. And then I would make all those sacrifices to be there for that person, and they just wouldn't show. And so we switched it to, you need to pay something. What can you afford? And we found that even if someone paid $5, if they only paid $5, they would show up because they didn't want to lose their $5. And some people would pay $100 or whatever they valued it at. But truly, if someone would pay even just a couple bucks and they had something to lose, they have some skin in the game, they would show up to find value in it. And I want to challenge you in that you can't do everything for everyone. You can want it for them, you can cheer them on, but I let people know right away in my business that, man, I will be your partner, I will support you, and I will run with you. But you have to run. I'm not going to pull you and I'm not going to drag you. And I think maybe someone needed to hear that. Another tidbit that I wanted to point out is that I think that all of us, if we're going to have a successful run in this business, we have to have a mentor. And we have to have someone that we can be authentically real with. And I've mentioned Melody a lot. You guys, for the past 6 years, Melody has been like through the fire with me. When I had my breakdown in Kansas City, she was there. She's probably thinking, what is up with this Angie? She cannot get through this. But there's times when I am not all positive and you can do it and focus on the great. There's times when my life is really, really hard. There's, just this last year we had, we came home and my son Gabe was unresponsive. accidentally, as a 16-year-old, gave himself too much insulin. It can kill you. And it just shifted me, and I was out of it. And there's one person that I was able to just be real with, and she hasn't given up on me. And she's let me be negative, and she's let me be sour, and she's let me be positive and successful, and she's cheered me on. But I know the temptation has had to have been there for her to say, man, Angie's got a lot of baggage. I just don't know if she's worth it. And she has stuck with, that's why she's an elite, like truly, that's why she's a Pro 7. And that's why she's not going to stop at Pro 7, because she has been willing to stick in it through thick and thin with me. And there's been a lot of thick. The easy time, you guys, you know what? If you have a mentor that sticks with you in the good, that is the easy. It is so easy to stick with you when you are like building rank every month and everything is great and you're doing all the right things. But if you have a mentor that'll stick with you through the really, really rough times and through your vents and through your pain and through your life, and when everything isn't peachy, you need to stick with that person. You need to listen to them and you need to rely on them. And if you don't have that person, you need to find one. And you know what? Melody was not my enroller. And so that's what I want you to know, because sometimes people will be like, well, my enroller isn't here for me. You know what? Find somebody else. Look at this team. Look at all the faces on this meeting. There are some remarkable, remarkable people. And you know what? You can go cross line. There's people outside of our team. And there's wonderful people in this business that can help us. And so I want to hand it over just for a moment to Melody. And I don't know if you have anything to say to that, Melody, if you need to voice your frustration or words of wisdom for people to stick it out with the frustrating ones.
Oh my word. I just feel like this whole training and everything that you've shared today has taken me on a roller coaster ride, and you literally have brought me to tears. And honestly, I can relate so much to your story of seeing the products for what they could do for a loved one, but having that entrepreneurial hat for how they could, impact the world on a greater level. But this right here is why I love network marketing, seeing the transformation in you and the fact that you haven't given up on your dreams and the fact that you've pushed through the hard times. One mentor and coach was recently saying it's not how you respond to success, it's how you work through the valleys that really determines how you grow. And in this business, I think sometimes a misconception is that things will happen fast or growth will always be an uphill journey, when in all reality, it's more like a roller coaster. And I was talking to someone about this just recently. It's like, as long as the roller coaster has a trajectory of going up, there's growth. But if we start to recognize that when we're in a valley, it's because there's a lesson we need to learn, that is something that will translate into us being able to offer a word of hope or encouragement or mentorship or camaraderie. Because if the network marketing or life journey was all easy, how is that supposed to be something that's relatable to other people who have struggles and challenges too? So I just want to thank you, Angie, for showing up and never giving up on yourself and really just being willing to grow. And I want to give a shout out to everyone else on this beautiful team and anyone who watches the replay for doing that too, because the reality is it's not always, a perfect picture of how it's coming together. But when you continue showing up for yourself, your life changes. And I was listening to Carrie Dickey's call this morning, and it encouraged me and blessed my heart so much, because they had anywhere from a 22-year-old to a 55-year-old. And then some people, they weren't sharing the ages of who were speaking. And some of these people are brand new to learning about LifeVantage. And some people have been around for 10 years and are circling back around to re-engage and reconnect and reignite their fire. And I love how in your story, that's how it's had to be. And so if we give people grace that life happens and sometimes other things take precedence, but this is always a safe place that people can come back to and be welcome and know that there's room for them to grow both personally and, mentally, healthfully, financially. We really have a gift to share with the world. And I was having a conversation with somebody recently and I said, I think that one of the things that motivates me the most is lives changed, not money made. And so when you think of like hitting the elite ranks and the paycheck that you're getting and different things like that, it's like, wow, like what really gets me excited is like there's 700 people plus who are on our products every month. And what is it doing for those people? And so I love your story. I love your heart. And thank you for just being you and blessing my heart and encouraging me to along the way. Like you said, you were at one of my first meetings and we've seen each other both grow a lot along this way. And it's definitely only the beginning, as some people say.
Right.
So love you so much.
Love you. Thank you. I know it's 6:30. I have a challenge for you all. And if you could stay on just for a quick challenge, that's wonderful, but I respect your time. I'm not going to be offended if you hop off, but I think for my team, one of the things, if I were to get into, my mindset in leadership is to equip, empower, and release. And if one of those aspects are missing, then we're not going to have, it's not successful leadership. It's not going to be effective leadership. And as I've worked with my team, there's a concept that's come up quite a bit that I've had to work with as well with most humans that I've had the opportunity to work with is, we work on self-growth a lot. And one thing that we fail to recognize sometimes is the relationship that we have with ourselves. And so a lot of people mention trust a lot. And I'm sure that many of you have had relationships with trust dynamic where trust has been broken and trust has needed to be earned. And there's a beautiful maturity in a relationship when trust has been broken. Let's say you broke the trust of someone that you care about. And there's a wonderful maturity to allow the person to not trust you until you earn their trust again. And this probably seems off topic, but I'm going to bring it together here in a moment. And vice versa. When someone has broken your trust, you need the space to actually learn to trust them. And the only thing that can bring that is time. And what I found is a lot of people that I've worked with, whether it be in the corporate world or in the recovery world, and even in LifeVantage, they do not trust themselves to come through for themselves. And so I first want to ask you, in your relationship with yourself, do you feel that you've let yourself down? And sometimes we have to look at that, like we would be very quick to recognize when someone else has let us down. And it's easy to say, my spouse has let me down, my girlfriend, my boyfriend has let me down, my best friend let me down. But can you look at yourself and say, where have I let myself down? And where have I not come through for myself? And I'm sitting quiet for a second just to let you think about that a moment. And when you really get to the nitty-gritty, because this business actually does require us to follow through, to cross the line, to complete the task, to take the risk. Do you trust yourself to come through for you? And I find so often people don't, like they just don't trust themselves. And I want to encourage you, if that's you, like there's this wonderful relationship that you can have with you, and you can actually earn your own trust. And like if I broke the trust of my husband and I'll give you an example. I mentioned that we brought a young man into our life when we found LifeVantage, who'd been through severe neglect. And that was after a 3-year relationship where I had counseled him. And when I met that little 12-year-old boy, he didn't trust a human because no human had ever come through for him.
And I realized in that moment that I couldn't tell him to trust me. That would have been asinine. Like that would have meant absolutely nothing to him. And in my spirit, I knew like I have to show up for him and I have to do what I say I'm going to do, or he will never trust a human. And it took a long time. It took years. I remember after he lived with us, probably a year, he said to me, you know, I never thought I could trust anyone. He said, but I trust you. And that was like 3-4 years, you guys. And I just had to keep showing up. And I just kept having to do what I said I was going to do. And sometimes we don't give ourselves like the gift of doing that for ourselves. You want yourself to succeed in this. You want to make the call. You want to circle back. You want to show up. Are you willing to earn your own trust? Because I know the one thing I knew because of my past and the things that I had gone through, I knew 3 years ago when I started obsessively listening to those videos, I trusted me. It took a long time. I had myself been through addiction, and I myself had been through recovery, and I'd been through rough times, and I had to earn my own trust before LifeVantage. And so I kind of had the benefit of that. But the one thing I knew, man, I was going to come through for me. And if you don't know that yet, there's this beautiful journey that you can have with yourself. You can give yourself opportunities to earn your own trust. You can give yourself opportunities to show up. You can give yourself opportunities to do what you say that you're going to do, and to look yourself in the mirror and go, I rock. I did it. I didn't die. Like they answered me. So I fell on my face. So I totally failed. But you know what? As far as I'm concerned with me, I followed through for me. And I just want to encourage you to maybe start that journey of earning your own trust. I would love it if we have a whole team of people here and all the faces can all raise your hand if I say, who trusts you? Do you trust you? How many people? Raise your hand if you trust you to come through for you. And if we're all like, yes, yes. Give yourself the opportunity to earn your trust. You would do it for your best friend. You would do it for your significant other. You do it for family members, for siblings. Will you do it for you? Because your relationship with you, your love for you is just as monumental as your trust for you. Or let me reverse that. Your trust for yourself, your trust in yourself is just as monumental as your love for yourself. And we're very good at saying, I love me. Even though sometimes I think we're fibbing, but we're really focused on self-love. But I want us to look a little bit at self-trust, because in this business, I think you really need to trust you. You need to trust you not to quit. And you need to trust you to win. Do you trust you to finish? That's all I got. You guys are great. I'm going to leave you with that challenge. Walk it out. It's absolutely my joy. Thank you, everybody. My other announcement that I meant to announce was tonight, the 30 in 30 is Rachel Pekarik. So if you want to invite for a fantastic overview, Pro 10, Rachel Pekarik on Level Up, tag your people. Most of my business was absolutely built on ad, tag, message. So we have a great opportunity. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for showing up.